managing it, you're literally reversing it by removing the cause of that problem. And so we understand that we literally had millions of people worldwide recently die during the pandemic. And who did we see? The people who died were the people who were the sickest already, right? Even if they were younger, but they were diabetic, they were more susceptible. If they were younger, obese, and diabetic, now their rates went up even further. If they had heart disease, diabetes, and were obese, then they were really susceptible, regardless of vaccination schedule. Regardless. Those are the people who perished. So they were already the sickest. And this was the thing that put them over the edge. So when we think about these things, in Max Living, we understand that each person, every one of you sitting here, is maybe a mother, a father, a brother, a sister, a parent, a teacher, someone that God has plans for. And your purpose here on this earth could be better accomplished if you were living to your full potential. Instead of managing disease, surviving. What I want you to sit here just for a second, just bear with me. I want you to think about your family right now, the people that you care about the most, having no expectation of cancer. Disease doesn't run in your family. Heart disease doesn't run in your family. Diabetes does not run in your family. What do their futures look like? What could they then put in better service of their talents instead of trying to survive? That's the world we envision. And that's what we see when you walk through the doors. And for us, it's a focus on potential and creating this healthcare model. And we do it through the 5 essentials. And this is just the introduction to what does that mean? The 5 essentials of health are a way of looking at individuals and saying, how can we remove the interference to the expression of your life through your mindset, your nervous system, exercise and oxygen, decreasing toxicity, and then making sure that your nervous system is connecting everything properly. Those 5 essentials, looking at you as a well-rounded individual and removing the things that are causing your body to malfunction, allows that inner perfection to surface, to do things with less interference. So, when I wear this shirt, faith over fear, the way that we do that is to overcome things with a standard model, something that has 90% success, right? We're not God. It can't be 100%. We're not going to get it 100% of the time. But 90% of the time, people around the country who have just integrated these 5 essentials into their life and created what we call a chiropractic lifestyle, this is what it means. Every single time something's not going right in your life, you don't think about, well, how can I get rid of that symptom? Oh, I have a headache. I guess I'm now deficient in Advil. Oh, I don't feel good. I guess I need some Pepsid. Or my Mylanta wore off. Or whatever it is, right? It's so pervasive. Right now, let me ask you a few questions. Some of you might know the jingles. Have you ever heard the dun 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 dun? Anybody? Yeah, right? Tums, right? What's the pink stuff? Pepto, right? What's the pain reliever doctors recommend most? Exactly. We all know these things. We are inundated with masking the symptom of things instead of dealing with the cause of the problem. When our office is, when someone has a headache, there's 3 main causes that cause over 90% of headaches: dehydration, subluxation, and stress. So we just ask those questions. Like, well, where are you at? And then which one of those do you need to deal with? And we remove that cause, and we see people's symptoms go away. We have not taught people that symptoms are a check engine light. If the check engine light came on in your car and you put duct tape over the check engine light and kept driving, would you expect it to last very long? Well, how do you expect to make it to 100 years old putting duct tape over your check engine lights? Thank God we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Thank God our bodies can compensate for a lot of the things that we do to it. Otherwise, none of us would be here. Right? I mean, we were all kids, right? How many times did you jump off the roof of the house? Right? How many times did you jump your bike or whatever, right? The list is enormous. And so when we think about these things, our soul is recognizing and regenerating and developing our body out of the food we eat, the fluid we drink, the air that we breathe, the emotions that we focus on, the connection to God that we have, how our spiritual life plays a role in how our body functions, and then how our brain is connected to our body in controlling the function of our body. These are the things that give us whether or not we're building health or we're declining towards death. When we look at things, this mindset switch is the key to everything. So when we look at these things, our habits and our behaviors really come into fact. They determine our reality. So if I feel good, I'm healthy. Pretty common, right? If I look good and I feel good, now I know I'm healthy. But pretty people drop dead of heart attacks all the time. Pretty people go to the doctor and find out that they have cancer and 6 months to live. Right? We all probably know somebody. They went and they found that out and they're like, no, I would never have thought that person. Well, what was going on in the background is this. I love this slide. Because if our bodies are functioning at 100%, how much room is there for disease? None, right? As we accumulate life, we accumulate trauma, we accumulate bad habits, we accumulate, and many people's bad habits have just switched from Jack Daniels to Little Debbie. Many people have just traded one addiction for another. It's not fun to say, but again, it just is what it is. And we have to recognize these things. And so if we're going to drive your body back towards 100% function, then this is the way it works. Our mind is a part of our health. Our body is a part of our health. And our soul is a part of our health. Our soul, where it overlaps with the mind and the body, is right here. That's the sweet spot. That is 100% function. So the more in alignment that we get these circles, the bigger this area opens up in the center. The more of our body is moving in towards that 100% function. So just like God created rules for how we should serve, how we should worship, our bodies have certain rules too, right? He created the universe. I mean, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. You wouldn't jump off of a building and expect, as my mom would say when I would come in, from doing something bad, and I would say, Mom, but everybody else was doing it. And she'd say, well, if they jumped off a bridge, you wouldn't do that, would you? And I would always, no. Well, how are we supposed to do things that we know are harming our bodies all of the time? Sugar addictions and lack of sleep and, bad habits and just the things of life just because everybody else is doing. But we know everyone else is sick and tired of being tired and sick. So if we're going to do something different and we want different results, Einstein said, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. He was a pretty smart guy. So when we look at these things, our job in Max Living is to get the circles to overlap as much as possible, allowing the soul to have less work to do to control the mind and the body. Does that make sense? So when we look at these things, the core of that is chiropractic. And the reason it is the core is because God created us on a template. And this system, all the organs of the body are almost equally important, right? Right? We take out some of them, like the gallbladder, and you have a couple kidneys, so some people can lose one of those and all these other things. But every part of us that's not working properly, the body has to compensate for, right? So now, God created us with this electrical potential that is created in the brain. We now define death by when the brain's no longer working, right? We can keep you alive on machines for years, but if you're brain dead, as soon as the machines are unplugged, the rest of you dies, right? So this electrical connection that's happening in the brain is somehow the connection between the soul, which is everywhere in the body but nowhere, just like God is everywhere in the world but nowhere. You can't just, but yet there it is. And we have to accept that about ourselves. And the way that God made the human body is the brain is the control switch for all of our organs. So all chiropractic says is if there is a breakdown in the communication between the brain and the body, then whatever nerves are having interference from misalignments of the spine, those organs no longer function at 100%. That less than 100% makes the body compensate. The more of there's a breakdown between the communication between the brain and the body throughout our lives, from poor posture, right? How about our kids nowadays? They're looking at tablets, they're looking at phones, right? They look 90-something with poor posture, right? We used to see those people. You see them at the mall, and they're walking, and they can't even look up. Well, now they look like our 5-year-olds. To me, I don't see poor posture, and that's it. I understand because of neurology that this is the area that controls the heart, tells it how to speed up. The vagus nerve that comes out at the base of your skull is the nerve that tells your heart how to slow down. So your blood pressure cannot come down. Your heart rate cannot come down. You cannot get out of fight or flight unless vagus works properly. So all of the people who have forward head posture from carrying book bags, tablets, reading, life in general, computer work, all of these things, when I see them, I see epidemic heart disease. When we see, and the word for these misalignments is called subluxation. When the spine gets out of alignment, putting pressure on the nerves, it causes a breakdown in the communication from between the brain and the body. Every single human being may experience symptoms that they think are medical problems, right? So it's a short list, like acid reflux. Anybody know anybody who has acid reflux, right? Raise your hand. Yeah, plenty of people, right? Vagus is the nerve that controls whether or not the stomach opens and closes. If you're subluxated in the upper part of your neck or in your atlas, then that stomach is not getting its proper nerve innervation. You can take all the antacids, you can do whatever you want, and that stomach's not going to open and close properly because the nerves aren't working right. And so when we look at these things, it's just a mirror. I mean, so many people will have allergies and asthma. If they're subluxated in the nerves where they come out to go to the lungs, you can take all the allergy pills you want. And you just go down through the list: constipation, attention deficit disorders, dizziness. ADHD is one of my sweet spots. It's one of the things that's just, I shouldn't say it that way, I should say one of my just angry spots. It's one of the things that just really just infuriates me, because we have an epidemic of kids on Adderall and Ritalin, right? Which I hope y'all know that Ritalin is the exact chemical equation as cocaine. Adderall is the exact chemical equation of crystal meth. They're just pharmaceutical grade versus street grade. They're the exact chemical equation. And we're putting kids on this. We're telling them to sit down and shut up. Take this drug to be normal so that you can fit into society, because you're broken. You're ADHD. You're whatever you are. We're creating the addiction, not even to really get high. They just want to be normal. They just want to please mommy and daddy. They just want to fit in. And then when they get off mommy and daddy's insurance and they can't get it anymore because it's too expensive, where do they go to buy it? We've created the problem because we haven't educated parents that there's an option. Maybe we take an x-ray of some of these kids, and if they're subluxated in certain areas and it's causing their nervous system to be on fight or flight, we can give them all the drugs in the world, just like the blood pressure medications. When the drug wears off, what happens to them? They go right back. And here we are, not even, and this is one of the things that makes me get out of my office, out of my comfort zone, to come out and do things like this. Because people just don't know. Because chiropractors have been lazy. We said if your back doesn't hurt, you don't need us. And when it does hurt, come get adjusted. When it feels better, go away, come back when it bothers you again. That'd be like the dentist telling you to only brush your teeth when you have a cavity, right? I only want you to exercise after you've had a heart attack, right? I mean, wouldn't you look at the doctor and be like, yeah, exactly. You'd laugh. You'd be like, right, whatever. No. 50% of people die from their first heart attack. So we're going to wait till death happens to tell them they should have been running? They're no longer here. These are the options. But we look at it like it's optional. And so when we look at things, chiropractic, every single human being deserves the chance to have x-rays done of their spine, an exam done of their spine. If they are subluxated, if they have misalignments of the spine, putting pressure on the nerves that are going out to their body, the only way to fix that is to get it adjusted and to teach that human being the exercises and the stretches to strengthen the muscles and the ligaments to hold those adjustments, so that you don't have to be there 3 times a week for the rest of your life. You can come in and be coming in maybe twice a month, and you stay well after you've fixed your problems. That's the reality of it. But we haven't said that. We've stayed in our little offices and been lazy like the MDs. And that's not okay, because people's lives are at stake. And each one of us would be a better parent. We'd better be a better Christian. We would be better if our body and our brains were connected. Going back to those circles, aligning them properly through having a properly functioning nervous system. So every time I speak at a church, we do the same thing. Any person who decides they want to be a patient tonight, they can fill out the forms that are there. You can take them, Anna will have a table in the back, and you can go back there and talk to her and sign up for an appointment. And instead of it being like $150 to come into the office, you can get your exam and x-rays, and it's $60. And then each person who signs up, we donate that $60 back to the church that we're speaking at. So this is a fundraiser for your church, because we think it's that important that every single person has an opportunity to have their spines checked without any strings attached, to know the health of what's controlling the rest of their health. And most people have never had it done, surprisingly. That's chiropractic. That's step 1 to health. That's step 1 in the 5 essentials. Step 2 is nutrition. One of our favorites, because everybody's going to eat anyway. So let's talk about it this way. Your body is literally built of the food you eat and the fluids you drink, the air you breathe. Do you want a whole food body, or would you like a Twinkie body? Back to Little Debbie, right? Little Debbie. Crazy to me when I saw them, they sponsored the Iron Man in Chattanooga, right? They're the corporate sponsor for the Iron Man. Do you really think the people who are doing the Iron Man are eating Little Debbie? Come on, right? But hey, she has cool sunglasses on the poster. And so when we look at these things, nutrition, poor diet is a major source of interference to the body. Because if you're eating a poor diet and it's processed food, you wouldn't build your house out of cardboard and saran wrap for your windows and expect it to last very long, right? You want brick and wood, and you want real good double pane glass, and you want high quality for your house. Well, your body is where the Holy Spirit lives within inside of us. We are temples of the Holy Spirit. What are we rebuilding this out of? The standard American lifestyle produces 80% of people eat junk food on a daily basis. This went ahead and pulled a slide again dating back to 2015. Only 19% of people exercise regularly. Back in 2000, the average calories consumed by a person was 1,910 calories a day. In 2008, it was 2,300. In 2015, it was 3,000 calories a day. And we wonder why we're having growing population. So much so that 71% of American adults are either overweight or obese. And there's only 331 million people in America. 100 million of them are pre-diabetic or diabetic. That's why it's so rampant. Did you know that there's 4.22 billion prescriptions filled in the United States every year? There's only 331 million of us. So when you do the division, that's 13 pills per man, woman, and child. So some people are taking like 40 because I know a lot of kids aren't on drugs, right? They're not taking prescriptions. That's 13 per man, woman, and child living in America. Because we are treating the symptoms instead of looking at that list of things as check engine lights, things that are going wrong that are causing your body, these things right here. Instead of looking these as a list of things that something's going on, I need to fix something, I got to quit what's causing this in my body, we give a pill to cover it up and we keep on driving. But not us. So when we think about these things, we focus on food by God instead of food by man. We eat to live instead of living to eat. How does that work? We understand that fads come and go, right? What was it? In the 80s, it was, it's not butter, right? I can't believe it's not butter, right? Or whatever he did, And now people are putting butter in their coffee. And we call it bulletproof coffee, and now we're going keto, and we have all these different things that go on, and they are fads, and they are things that we can use as tools to get our metabolisms to kick in, and we can do them short term, but if we go right back to the old lifestyle when we get done with the diet, what happens? Everybody gains their weight right back. Why? Because it's the lifestyle that created the problem. So we don't need a short-term fix for a long-term problem. We have other sayings, and one of them is that you cannot pharmaceutical your way out of a problem that you lifestyled your way into. Amen, right? We can't. We've been looking for the cheats, and if you look hard enough, you can find somebody who will sell it to you. You can go online, and Dr. Google will give you what you want to hear. You can look it up and order it, and it'll deliver right to your door in 24 hours, right? And then it'll work for a few weeks, and then it goes away because your body is intelligent. God created you. We need God solutions to God problems, not human solutions to God problems. The Holy Spirit inside of us, our souls run our body. We need to get out of the way. Stop heaping the junk on them and causing interference, and our bodies will do their jobs. You don't expect an eyeball to grow on your arm when you cut it, do you? Right? That's a joke, right? You heal skin. The Neosporin doesn't fix it. The hydrogen peroxide doesn't fix it. Your body fixes it. So when we give your body, we have two plans. One's the advanced plan and one's the core plan. The core plan breaks things down where we eat healthy fat. So let's talk about what a healthy fat is, because many people believe fat's bad for you, right? Fat causes heart disease. No, bad fats, damaged fats cause heart disease. The research on fat has been done on regular farm animals, people that have been raised in these feedlots, that have been fed GMO corn, and all of these things that make their stomachs so sick that they have to keep them on antibiotics to keep their stomachs from rupturing from the infections. That's why we use 80% of all the antibiotics used in America are used on farm production to treat the animals because they're so sick. That's where our antibiotic resistance is coming from, more so than even people overusing them. Yeah, they apparently the American Medical Association says that at least 70% of all antibiotic prescriptions are unnecessary. Things will self-resolve. So we're overusing the drugs. Healthy fats, what are they? So here's a question. There are essential fatty acids. There are essential amino acids, which are our proteins. How many essential carbohydrates are there? None. Zero. Your body can make any carbohydrate it needs out of protein and fat. It can take those two molecules and make it. So when the doctor tells you, well, you got to have some carbs, he's not working for you. You can get all the carbohydrates you need from vegetables, and that's where we're supposed to get them. Fruits and vegetables give us all the carbs that we need. We don't need crackers and pasta and cakes and everything. Think about it. We think of people having a sugar addiction, and it's just sodas and sugar and cakes and pies. Did you know that pasta, crackers, anything made of white flour or wheat flour turns to sugar within 5 seconds of being in your mouth? The enzyme that breaks down carbohydrates, 90% of it is produced in your mouth. So when your mom told you to chew your food properly, otherwise you were going to get a bellyache, she was right. But it was because of the amount of enzymes it produced in your saliva. So if we don't chew properly and we don't produce enough of those enzymes, we don't break them down. But either way, they're turning into sugar within 5 seconds. Damaged fats, things like canola oil. It's rancid. It's actually not even a plant. It's a modified rapeseed plant. It stands for Canadian oil, low acid. So that's the name of it, canola. It's damaged and it's rancid before it goes into the bottle because it was processed at high heat. The only essential fatty acids are the omegas. Anybody heard of those, right? Everybody's big on omegas these days. Well, the only reason is because your body can't make them out of other fats. So you have to get them from your diet. And so when we supplement them or we eat salmon or grass-fed organic beef or the things that produce and give us those omega oils, we're removing a deficiency from the body because all diseases in the human body can be related back to a deficiency, a toxicity, or a loss of control. Cancer, diabetes, heart disease, everything. All related to toxicities, deficiencies, or a loss of control. Diabetics have eaten so many carbohydrates that they are literally toxic with carbohydrates. Their body can no longer process them and get rid of them, so it stays in the bloodstream. That causes blood to become more like syrup. That syrup damages the lining of the blood vessels, causing cholesterol to come along in plaque to make it slippery again. So the blockages in the arteries are cholesterol buildup due to the irritation and the inflammation in our bloodstream. Then the blood vessels die to the nerves. The nerves die that were also helping control the blood vessels, and that's why amputations happen. That's how diabetes, that's why it progresses. And so unless we get rid of that carbohydrate toxicity, we can't heal. Naturally raised animal proteins, that is grass-fed organic beef, that is pasture-raised, and we have the awesome opportunity right here in the South to have a lot of this available, right? You can raise your own chickens and eat your own eggs and let them be wild, and, you know, this is the way that we ate 80 or 100 years ago is really what organic means. I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, if we raised things the way that we were taught a long time ago, instead of sticking them in feedlots, like think about it. How healthy would you be if they made you stand around all day, eat Doritos, and stand in a very confined space with lots of other people in your own poop? You're going to be very healthy? That's feedlot animals. That's regular beef. That's chickens. Ask anybody who raises chickens and has chicken houses. They usually don't eat much chicken. It's just the way of it. So we have to get back to eating things, again, food from God in its natural closest form, reducing the amount of packaged and processed food. And many people will say, well, it's just too expensive to eat healthy. No, it's too expensive not to. Because an apple is fast food. That's God's fast food. An orange, it's already packaged. He just put it in the car. Trail mix, nuts and seeds. Buy it in bulk. There you go. There's your protein and fat. That's fast food. Believe me, I eat out of the office like 5 days a week. So the idea is that these meals come with me as leftovers, and I'm packaging them because I know what I'm putting in my food. And I know that I am approximating 50 years old, and I have a 2-year-old. So I know that if I'm going to see her get married, I'd better take care of this vehicle. If I'm going to be a better chiropractor and serve my community, I'd better have the energy to do it. I had better be a better version of myself. Otherwise, all of the things that we have nightmares about as parents are going to happen. And that's my motivation. What's yours? That's what I'm here to ask you tonight. What did you come here tonight for? Focus on that as the reason for the motivation to do what is necessary to obtain what is possible. I love that. There's the Pastor Aaron, he asked that of us, I guess it was a few months ago, and he said, he was talking about the church, and he was saying, are we willing to do what is necessary to obtain what is possible for this congregation? And I said, man, that applies to every single aspect of life. Am I willing to do what is necessary to obtain what is possible for my health, for my family, for my spiritual life, for my relationships with my spouse, my whatever? And you thought I was just coming here to talk about food, right? Sorry. It's all interwoven. We cannot separate the mind from the body from the mind, or the spirit from the body. It is all one thing. And when we start treating people like this, that's where we get the biggest, best picture. The advanced plan is a reverse disease. So if you choose, like right now, we're going to talk about this. This is a 30-day challenge. So we can do this as a group, and y'all can set up how you check in. Y'all can meet with Misty. Misty's going to champion this. She's done many 30-day challenges with us, and this is where you outline your own 30-day challenge. One thing in all of the 5 essentials that you're going to do to improve your health for 30 days, you create the group, you turn your forms not into me, you turn them into her. These are the things that you're going to do. Or you don't even have to. Y'all could set it up where you just set up the group, who's going to participate, and then at the end of it, y'all set a time where you're going to meet up and you're going to talk about your successes and your failures, and you're going to talk about how y'all can do better next time. It's just that simple. Because life is a marathon. It's not a sprint. None of us are going to get perfect in the next 30 days, right? None of us were perfect or could be perfect even if we tried. So core chiropractic. How many of you decide, and y'all can set things up with Anna, are going to become patients to get your nervous systems checked to find out what you could be doing to improve your health? Or are you going to just improve your ergonomics at work? Are you going to do posture exercises you got off Dr. Google? Are you going to do whatever you're going to do? You're writing your own step. The next step is your mindset. Stress less. These are the things, and also the outline is on the back of this sheet. Everything that you need to know that if you are going to do this program perfectly for the next, and we're doing a 30-day, not a 45-day challenge. We're doing a 30-day challenge. So stressing less. What are you going to do to stress less? Are you going to increase your time in the Bible? Are you going to meditate more? Are you going to play with the kids more? What are you going to do to stress less? Write it down. Put it in the square. What are you going to do for the next 30 days if you're going to do this that's going to help your mindset? Prayer, meditation, walks in nature, playing with the kids. I love doing that one. If I can guarantee 15 minutes on the trampoline, with the kids every night, to me, that's just amazing, right? It's one thing we can all do together at all of our age groups. So your nutrition. Are you going to try to reverse a disease in the next 30 days? Are you going to try to lose weight? Are you going to improve your blood pressure, your cholesterol? Are you going to try to reverse inflammation in your body? What are you going to do? Because the core plan is the way you can learn to eat for the rest of your lives. We have these little booklets. They're $5 a piece, these little outlines, and I'm sorry I didn't bring them. That's one of the things we forgot, was the nutrition plans book and our recipes book. And what it does is it gives you the outline and the breakdown and the how to shop, how to purchase better food, what apps you can put on your phone to shop better, and then reduce inflammation in your body through your nutrition. And so if you're going to try to reverse the disease or do any of those things that we were just talking about, no grains. That's the advanced plan. No flour, no biscuits, no pasta, I'm making everyone grimace. If I just go around and say a few more things, I can get everybody. Cake, cookies, whatever, crackers, cereal, oatmeal, corn, rice, right? None of it. It all goes away and you focus on eating healthy fats, things like avocados, nuts and seeds, salmon, grass-fed organic beef, pasture-raised chicken, things that are good, healthy proteins and fats. You get rid of your damaged fats, your damaged proteins. You get off the commercial beef and the commercial chicken, and you eat only low-sugar fruits and vegetables. The list is Granny Smith apples, lemons, limes, and berries. Strawberry, blueberry, raspberry. Thank goodness it's spring, right? And so those are the things you can eat if you're going to do the advanced plan and you're trying to reverse a disease, lower your blood pressure, lose weight, reduce inflammation. That's the advanced plan, nuts and bolts. All of these things, as y'all get together, if you tell Misty, I will send the books with her, and she'll have them here next Sunday. We can decide what date our start date is. We could even say it's this Sunday, right? We could all start on Monday. Right? So we could get you the tools this weekend, get everybody the books they need, and then y'all decide what y'all want to do as a group. So that's nutrition. Who has questions about nutrition? Let's just stop right now. Instead of waiting at the end, let's stop right this second. Who has a question about something in particular? And we're also going to do this at the end where you can come up and ask privately if you don't want to ask in the group. But if you have a question about nutrition right now, go ahead and ask. Yes. Ooh, I love taking all the cruciferous vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower and Brussels sprouts and things like that, putting them in there with whatever herbs your family likes, putting them in a cast iron skillet and with some olive oil, keeping it below 350 because that's another thing we need to talk about, fats. Fats and oils are temperature sensitive, and so putting all those things together. And then we bake or air fry. Love our air fryer. Love our Instapot. Anybody got an Instapot? Love those things, right? Take it from frozen to eating it in like 20 minutes. Are you kidding me? And so these things are awesome. Also, if you're lectin sensitive, the pressurization and high pressure and high temperature cooking kills those inflammatory lectins that are in things like nightshade vegetables and things like that. So we put those, we create organic chicken tenders. We'll put them on a basket in the air fryer and cook those up with whatever, one night's Italian, one night and we just buy chicken tenders a lot. We use, I have a cow slaughtered every year. We eat parts of that throughout the week. We cook in bulk. The other key to eating healthy and being on the go, if any of you have jobs where you're eating lunch at work all the time, every Sunday we wash our vegetables. We buy everything we're going to do for the beginning of the week. We sit down and we turn on music. The kids get to play, and then we sit down and we wash. Clean up all the vegetables, put them in Tupperwares so that our radishes, our cauliflower, our broccoli, our squash, our zucchini, whatever, our cucumbers, everything's washed, cut up, and put away into the refrigerator. In the morning, I wake up, I grab a handful of mixed greens, whatever vegetables I want, throw them in there on top of the salad, grab whatever we're going to cook. We cook usually on Sunday nights, a lot of food, meats, and then we eat those for the rest of the week. That's what goes to kids for the school lunch, everything. And so we process it that way. Then we do it again on Wednesdays. So meal prepping is key if you want to save money. Then we buy a lot of apples, oranges. We buy a lot of all the things that are prepackaged, and that's what the kids get for their snack. That's everything. That's what I have. I left 2 apples at the office, and I wished I had one on the right here. And so those are the things that we do. What's another aspect of it? What's the biggest challenge that you have to it? Nobody wants to eat it.
My daughter will eat broccoli.
Mm-hmm. I will admit that I am very blessed to have a wife that is amazingly patient, and she's a therapist. So sometimes the kids will be there for a half hour until they get either sleepy and we carry them to bed, or they eat. And sometimes it's just that bad. But you have to be willing to go there. If you go there with them, you got to ride it out. It's because if they can bluff you, then they're done, right? They're going to win. And they keep going, and pretty soon they're just eating Doritos and whatever they want again. Yeah. Yeah, we want them to be healthy. But the fact is that we're giving in and we're compromising ourselves and them in the process. And believe me, they will eat if they sit there long enough. And it's just it's you know, we went through it, right? We did. And it's just and sometimes a buddy of mine named Mark Supernaut has said something that somebody sent out a message on his feed that said, I can't wait to accumulate all these things so that I can give them to my children, and he had a long list. And he said, it doesn't sit well with me. I am who I am because of the suffering I went through to get what I have. I learned my lessons in every aspect of my life. So why would I want my children to not go through that? And with that backbone and that we understand that about and we tolerate, that's a different way of looking at it because we're all going through it. I deal with it every day. And I have 4 kids, a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, I have a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old tomorrow. All right, toxicity. We minimize toxins through minimizing where they come from. We eat cleaner. We do things, we minimize the type of toxins that are coming into our food. Many people don't know that their endocrine disruptors are coming in from their cosmetics, from the products we use, shampoos, conditioners, things like that. Did you know that there are 10,000 food additives allowed inside the United States? Food additives and preservatives, 10,000 different chemicals added to our food alone. And so we look at things like this. This is our bucket. Your health and symptoms happen when your bucket gets full. The whole time, if you're coming in contact with bad food and household dust and mold and pollen, and you have all these things, and we're looking at it just in allergies, you don't experience symptoms until your bucket's full. You've filled it up with all the toxins, and then we have the overflow that we call symptoms. Then we take a drug to cover up the symptom, and we wonder why it keeps getting worse throughout our lives. Our allergies just keep getting worse. Well, we have to get rid of the stuff that's coming into the bucket. The symptoms go away naturally. Just like chiropractors don't treat back pain. We remove the misalignment from the spine. Your body heals the pain. Your body fixes the pressure on that nerve. We don't fix that. When I adjust people and they tell me that their hearing got better and their tinnitus went away or their headaches went away, I have to remind them that that's the healing inside of them that God gave them. That was not me. We move the bone, your body does the healing. If it's a nervous system problem, that's the only way to fix it. If it's because you're eating toxic food, the only way to fix it is to get rid of the toxic food. I can adjust you all day long, but if you keep eating donuts, you're going to be diabetic. So we look at that in every aspect of your life. Your heart disease, your diabetes, your cancer, your whatever. A lot of people think of this is another essential, and right here you're writing it down. So you've decided, are you going to do nutrition? Are you going to do the core plan or the advanced plan? Are you going to just decide to not eat packaged food? You're going to quit fast food for a month? What are you going to do? No drive-throughs? Whatever your biggest offender is, put it down as that's what you're going to do. Oxygen and exercise. Folks, your heart pumps blood that carries oxygen to every tissue in your body. If your tissues don't get oxygen, they ferment sugar, which produces lactic acid, which we've all gotten through working out too hard or working too much. When you get sore, that's lactic acid in your muscles. That acid eats away at the tissues. That causes cancer. The lack of oxygen and the use of sugar in a tissue is the beginning stages of cancer. So when you're cardiovascularly challenged and you don't get exercise every day, you're not able to deliver oxygen and nutrition to the cells of your body. The more weight you put on, the more your blood pressure has to go up to pump blood through the tissue to get it there so that it can have oxygen and nutrition. So if I give you a drug to lower your blood pressure, now I'm making sure that the blood doesn't get to all of your tissues. Now they're oxygen deficient and nutrition deficient. They ferment sugar to create energy because they got to have energy. They're trying to survive. The increased acidic environment causes that tissue to become cancerous. It all connects. So we've got to stop looking at exercise as optional. Our kids need to get off the iPads and go out and play. We have got to get rid of the Game Boys and the phones. The digital babysitter is one of the worst things that's ever happened to America because kids get fixated. They get their dopamine fix. It gives them lots of bright lights, and it stimulates their brain, and they feel like they've been out playing because they're all wound up, but they didn't burn any calories. They didn't develop any muscle. They didn't, and we do the same thing with TV or whatever else we do. Right? We do it to ourselves, but we tell them they can't. We sit there and flip the channels and go, get off that iPad. You shouldn't have so much screen time. Right? I mean, come on, it's more funny. I laugh because I'm guilty too. I mean, it just is what it is. And we just have to be real with ourselves because we want different results. We use something called Max T3. So you decide, how are you going to get your exercise throughout this next 30 days? Are you going to walk more? Are you going to ride your bike? You got a buddy you're going to go walking with? Are you going to walk the dog? Are you going to play catch with the kids? What are you going to do? Write it down. And then we use Max T3, which there's a type of exercise called high-intensity interval training. HIIT. Everybody's a little sleepy. Please stand up. Please stand up. High-intensity interval training looks like this. We are all going to pretend that there's a fire under our feet. And you are going to stomp the fire out. You don't want your shoes to catch on fire. We're going to do this for 20 seconds. So I'm looking at the clock back there and go. So you're going to move your feet as fast as humanly possible. Really try to move your feet. Some of you are definitely on fire already. Come on. The idea of high intensity means you go to 90% output. 90% of what you can do while you're still trying to talk and stop. That type of activity is how kids play. They never go, oh, I want that ball, and walk, right? They do everything full force. They go for it. They play, and they repeat it over and over again. Just like we're going to do. Your feet are about to catch on fire. Let's do it again for 20 seconds. Go. Move your feet as fast as you can. High-intensity interval training. We move as fast as we can to 90%, and we do this repeatedly and rest. Max T3 is a system that gives you those workouts that can be done with no equipment. With no equipment. Those workouts can go on in your living room with very little equipment. It's $20, and it's a lifetime subscription to this website that you can go and learn these workouts. Have a seat. What's that? Absolutely. These are your steps. You're going to fill this out if you want to. You're here to save and change your own life. There's no commitment to me, Misty, or anybody else. It's between you and God. What do you want for your life and your future? The 5 essentials will remove the interference, utilizing them, your implementation of them, not just joining the gym and never showing up, but literally doing the process. If you've never had your spine checked, if you're not under current chiropractic care, and you don't know if you're subluxated, causing your body to electrically malfunction, that's the first step. You can go to the back. You can ask any questions of Anna. You can come up front and ask questions of me. If it needs to be work, if that's something that would be applicable for you. If you sign up for your new patient appointments tonight, it's $60, and that gets donated back to the church. When everybody's come in who's going to come in, we'll write a check back to the church. That's how that works. Decide your 30-day challenge. What are you going to do for nutrition? Whatever it is, best case scenario is choosing either the core plan or the advanced plan. We're going to do the advanced plan. Let's do 15-minute workouts, or do you want to do 45? So we're doing high-intensity interval training. So you can change the back of the sheet. Instead of 45 minutes, it's 15 minutes. So you're going to do some kind of fun, play-oriented 15 minutes of exercise 7 days a week for the next 30 days. Half your body weight in ounces of water. One of the main forms of for causing people to have dysfunction in their body is they're dehydrated. You need a half an ounce per pound of body mass to be properly hydrated with a normal day's activity. You go out and sweat, work in the yard, you need to be drinking more than that. So I weigh, we'll average it up to 200 pounds, so I would drink 100 ounces of water a day. When I work out, which is at least 6 days a week, I have to go all the way up to a gallon to stay hydrated, 120 ounces of water. That gives you your math. Just divide your body weight by 2. That's the number of ounces you need to drink in a day of clean water. Decide what you're going to be doing for your posture, or you're coming to the chiropractor, or what are you going to do to take care of your spine and your nervous system. No alcohol or cheat meals. So for the next 30 days, it's just not okay to binge on the low-fat crackers or cookies or whatever you decide you're going to do. And because oftentimes we get those, right? It's low fat or it's low sugar, so that means we can eat the whole bag. Those days for the next 30 days don't get to happen. And then we want to do 10 pages of reading a day, preferably the Bible or something else very inspirational, something that connects you back to your spiritual life. Those are the commitments that you're choosing to do. That is for your mindset, that biblical connection, the reading. So that's the 30-day challenge. That's the Max Living approach, the 5 essentials. That's the way we look at human beings, and we look at them to try to remove that interference so that we can help them reach their level of perfection that God intended for them. And I believe I am out of time. If you decide to, you're welcome to connect with us. That's our website, choosehealthchiropractic.com. maxliving.com is another great site. And Chiropractic Care of Dade County is our Facebook page. Who has any questions as we wrap things up? Love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Please. I have not, but I'm not aware of anything, but.
One thing that helps me with work is like if you can't just change everything with your diet, you recommend to start with animal products.
Absolutely. Change your fats and your proteins first, because the animals eat grass or grains or whatever, and it becomes biomagnification. Just like in the tuna fish, it's high in mercury because they ate all the little fishes. So the mercury builds up in them. Same thing happens with animals. So when you change that, you detoxify better by getting less of those pesticides and herbicides that came in the corn and the grains and the feed that those animals ate. So change your fats and your proteins first. Make those your organic choices first before you go to buying organic vegetables. What other questions? What else did I leave out? You've been to half a dozen of these, and
I would just say 2 things that always stuck out to me was tell everybody like how many hours your immune system is suppressed with however many grams of sugar, and then like after 120 days, your body can be regenerated.
So the sites that she's talking about are that the fact is that and this research was done on a 180-pound adult. Average adult American now is 180 pounds. So they did this research, and they showed that the white blood cell activity in your body is suppressed by 50% for 5 to 6 hours when you consume 75 grams of sugar in a single setting. So literally a 16-ounce Coke, and you're over the limit. Now imagine our kids that we're sending them to school with chocolate milk and the pizza and the everything else, but they only weigh 50 pounds. They're getting 75 grams of sugar, but they only weigh 50 pounds. So is their immune system suppressed for 10 hours, 12 hours? Is it suppressed by 80%? We don't know because the research hasn't been done. But we know it's crushing their immune system. So we blame the sick schools and the repeated infections and all these things, and the kids are all dirty and it's all these other things. They're eating sick. It's suppressing their immune systems. They get sick easier. They bring it home to us. That's how that happens. And the other good fact to know is that every living red blood cell in your body is new in 120 days. So literally, I can change your blood work from terrible to amazing in 120 days. If you will commit to changing your lifestyle for 120 days, we can have your blood's going to be brand new every 120 days. And it is made out of the habits that you did during that 120 days. That's why you can give blood a couple times a year, right? They can suck a quart of blood out of you, and 120 days later, you can go give them another quart. You can repeat it because it's all being remade. That's how amazing our bodies are. So knowing that, every 120 days, you can make amazing changes to your body. Just change your lifestyle. Any other questions? Anything else I left out? Well, thank you for coming, taking time out of your lives. I hope that it is going to allow you to make changes, that the next time I see you, you're just a better version of you, and have a blessed day. Absolutely. So she was saying we've got magazines and flyers and different question and answer, and if you want to sign up for your times or pick what day you want to have an appointment, you can turn those in and talk to Miss Anna in the back. And then if you have any personal questions that you didn't want to ask in front of the group, feel free to come up this way.